My name's Gareth and welcome to Fat Pigeon Audio Reviews, where today we're taking a look at the Diptyque DP77. Now, Diptyque, French-made speaker. I don't have that much information on these. We've not had these in for very long within Audio Lounge Leicester themselves, so I thought I'd get them on the channel because these things are just to die for. Okay, made in France. I think it was three musicians actually wanted a speaker that sounded like instruments. And they put their heads together, they put a bit of money forward, and they developed and built these Diptyques. This brand, Diptyque. Now, the fact that three musicians have built these is already a great sign. The fact that they know their strings, they know their instruments, and they want them to sound exactly like the instruments that they play. And my God, I think they've achieved it. The DP77s, they do a whole range of these. There's a 107, a 140, I think a 160. There's a reference model as well. But these are the smaller ones. These are the babies. The 77s are called the DP77s for Diptyque, and they're 77 centimeters tall. Now, the fact that they're 77 centimeters tall means, because they're a ribbon speaker, a panel speaker, sound comes out the back as well. So these do need a bit of room to breathe. They do need a couple of feet behind them for the wall to get you that depth. But we'll come back into that. But because these are 77 centimeters tall, it allows that treble, the ribbon tweeter that controls the high end, to be 30 centimeters. So the ribbon that just does the higher frequencies, the treble, the tweeter, is 30 centimeters tall. And my God, that makes a difference. So I've been listening to these for the past, I'd probably say 4 to 5 days. Here within the shop, I do work here. I do work at Audio Lounge Leicester, and they have allowed me to come in on my day off. I came in a few days ago and did a review on the 9000, the Audiolab 9000A amplifier. Check it out if I remember to put the link above. It's within my videos anyway. So if you haven't seen that video, go and check that out, because I've sort of used that amplifier with these Diptyques, because these Diptyques are so transparent and so detailed, and so the realism, the stringiness, everything that comes from these is so lifelike. It is quite unheard of with my ears. We'll get back into the sound quality in a moment. So these are, like I say, 77 centimeters tall as a panel ribbon speaker. So like I said before, they need a bit of room to breathe. They need to be pulled out. Now, because of their size, they're actually quite easy to move in and out. So you can just pick them up. They're about 18 kilos with the stand. Now, they're not super light, but because they're a flat panel, you can sort of tuck them out of the way. So if you haven't got the space all the time within your living room to actually sort of listen to these and have the space for them, just put them back out the way. And then when you go to listen to them, pull them back out a couple of feet, 2 to 3 feet, and then angle them back up. Now, I've listened to Magnapans as well. We had some Magnapans, we had some 1.7s in the shop, and we've had some 0.7s. Now, the 0.7s for Magnapan were the first panel speaker I heard. And they absolutely blew my mind what an open baffle panel speaker can do. They give you this sort of 3D imaging and depth to a speaker that I'd not heard before. And how just so the soundstage and room filling capabilities of a panel speaker is extraordinary. To me, I'm new to this whole high-end thing, as I've said in many videos before. But they're shorter than the Magnaplane 0.7s, but they're sort of a little bit more robust, and they're metal, and they're very well built. But the beautiful thing about the Diptyques is you have a pivot point. Now you think to yourself, why has it got a pivot in it? Now that pivot makes all the difference in the world when it comes to setting these up. Now when you pivot them forward flat so they're facing you, you're getting more of a focused, intimate feel to the music that you're listening to with any sort of track. Then if you sort of push them back a little bit, tilt them back so the bottom comes out, it lifts the whole ambience, the whole sort of atmosphere is lifted, and vocals seem higher and more aerated, and the detail is just flown everywhere. But the spatial awareness of these speakers, I don't know if spatial awareness is right, but how much space and soundstage that comes from these speakers, from a flat panel speaker, especially these Diptyques, is just sort of hard to comprehend. If you haven't heard a flat panel speaker, oh my God, go and listen to a pair. They do a range of these. They do a 107, I think they do a 140, maybe even a 160, and they do a reference range, which is huge, like a flipping door of your house. That's how big the panel is. Now, this is my second introduction into a panel speaker, the ribbon open baffle speaker. The first one I heard was the 0.7 Magnapan. Now, the 0.7 Magnapan sort of blew me away a little bit because that was my first introduction to a panel speaker, and I love them. They still are. At their price point of £2,000, the Magnapans are still very hard to beat. But with the Diptyques, they're just that little bit more robust, feel more better made, feel they're heavier, they've just got more to them. So these, albeit small speakers, they look relatively small, 77 centimeters. They're a 6 ohm speaker. They're 86 decibels. They need some sort of a weighty amplifier behind them with a little bit of power. I mean, I've tried these on certain valve amps that we've had in the shop in the past, and it just can't run them. It sort of shuts them down. They cannot cope with the impedance of these. So you are going to need a little bit more of a powerful amp to run these, especially to get the best out of them. Now, I ran these the other day. I did a review on the Audiolab 9000A, and it ran these beautifully. That's a 100 watt per channel amplifier, 160 watts across the 4 ohms. But a few days ago, I was just testing that, and I put these on that, and they paired beautifully with the warmth from that amplifier. Now, like I said in the start of the video, musicians made these, and you can sort of tell it screams that a musician wants to hear the instruments properly, perfectly, as they should be. Now, they go down to 50 hertz. So they have got ample bass. Compared to a lot of bookshelf speakers, 50 hertz is about mid-range, mid-tier for the bass. So with the Magnaplaners, the 0.7s, like I spoke about earlier, they sort of do require a subwoofer. They do not get down as low as that sort of 50 hertz mark. I think they're more like 65, 70 hertz, maybe a bit less, but you really do need to pair the Magnapans with a sub. These, not so much. You can get away with, if you're not a big bass-heavy fan like I'm not, you don't need the extra money to be spent on a subwoofer. Now, speaking of money, the Magnapan, the 0.7s, which are sort of what the same category as these, they're £2,000. With that subwoofer, I'd recommend sort of like a REL sub, maybe another £1,000. So you're getting £2,000, £3,000. Now, these are £3,600 for the Diptyque 77s at the moment. And they, in my opinion, do something extraordinary when it comes to the sound. Now, what I want to do is I want to flip the camera around. I want to sort of show you what I'm listening and what I'm hearing, the differences, if that makes sense, to the Magnapan and to any other bookshelf speaker that these can deliver. So give me 1 second. So I don't normally get up for the camera, but for these Diptyques, I sort of have to explain something. So I was listening to the 0.7s, the Magnapan 0.7s, and they're wow. They were my first, like I say, my first look into the world of the ribbon panel speaker. And I was blown away by them, the detail and the room scale that they can fill. With the Diptyques, I felt I was going to be missing something, because you sort of get used to the extra height of the Magnapan, because it's up here and and it's just a little bit more height coming across for vocals and things. And I was a little bit worried that these were so small. And I thought I'm going to miss that, and it's going to be lacking that sort of the height up here. And I was wrong. With these, because you can pivot these. Now, when you pivot these, the ambiance changes. The whole atmosphere can change just with a few little tweaks, minor tweaks to the actual panel itself. So when you tweak them upwards, it's like a more holographic. The singers are like more upwards, if that makes sense. They are standing and they are looking down at you, because I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm getting that sort of whole atmosphere from it. And I feel that there's people on the stage. So when you push it forwards and lean it forward, it's more focused. So it becomes more focused to you. It's a more intimate scenario. And the people are singing more just for you, just in the room. And you can feel that within the music, because it's just what these panels can do. There's music coming out the back, giving you that 3D depth to everything. So then you pull them back again and you give them a little bit more room at the bottom and angle them back. And then everyone's back up and the people on the stage are back up, and it's throwing the notes and all the music outwards and upwards. And it's filling this top bit. Now, like I said before, the 0.7s, the Magnapan 0.7s are fantastic. It was my first introduction to panel, and I thought I'd be lacking it with these. But what these do is quite magical, because I thought, again, I was going to miss the top. But it doesn't work like that. When these are angled in the correct position, it took me a little bit of time to get these moving and to tweak them with the angles at the pivot. But you hit a sweet spot, and then all of a sudden these just dissolve. The right track, you'll picture a jazz band. Here, there's a stage here, and the vocalist, the female singer's here. With the Audio Lab and certain amplifiers, I did a review on it, I said before, with the Audio Lab 9000, it brings the vocals and the vocalists and the mid-range slightly forward for you. And that helps with these speakers, because when it's doing that, when it's bringing the vocalists and the guitarist is slightly more forward, it allows more room, 3D depth at the back that's being fired out the back of the panel. So then it gives you this really big depth of scale, and you can tell the drummer's further back because the amplifiers just push them forward. And now the drummer's back here. In fact, the drummer's in the corner, he's sitting down there. Sorry about that, it's on the bracket. He's just sitting there. There's a bass guitarist slightly further back, and you can hear that he's over here. You can tell that the guy's there, and the vocalist is singing here. And you get that depth between all of it. But then it's all being thrown upwards, and it's like you're in that jazz lounge. You're sitting on a table in that jazz bar, and you're sort of have your eyes closed, and you can pinpoint exactly where these people are. And that I have not heard before. And with, like I say, with the top missing, that it sort of helps. It allows these to just disappear. It's like someone's just moved these to the side and the band just starts to play. If you close your eyes, you get a well-produced track. You can get that feeling. You imagine Bruce Springsteen on stage live with the drummers and the kick drums and the bass guitar, and him standing here singing directly for you, like a personal concert within your home. And that's what these Diptyques could achieve. And my God, I've never got this out of breath over a speaker before. So, as you can tell, I do like these speakers. For me, this was the first speaker that truly disappeared. It truly did disappear for me. A lot of audiophiles, hi-fi enthusiasts, they want that sound where you can't tell where the actual speakers are. You can't tell where the sound's coming from. And if you get that sound and you can sort of think, well, it's coming from that speaker and that speaker, it sort of ruins the illusion. With these, you don't get that. If you set these up correctly in a sweet spot within your home itself, these will disappear and create a beautiful atmosphere of sound. Not just 2D, not just your left and your right imaging. It's got the depth to it as well. It's just a beautiful, beautiful sound coming from these. When it comes to separation, the musicians, 3 musicians designed these. It shines through that is yes, I agree. Musicians have made these. The separation and the detail and the layers between each separation. So what you've got, your drum set's over here, and a guy whacks that cymbal, and you get that aftertone, that decay from within the cymbal, and it's going shh, and it continues. But then over here, a guy strummed his guitar, and you're getting the aftertone from that string, and it's alongside as well as that cymbal and the string, and they're just floating through the air. This ambiance, this resonance, this decay, but they're side by side, and you can pick out you can literally pick out the decay from this one, the decay from that one. That drum cymbal still decay. The string is still decaying, but they are completely separate of one another, and you can still hear the guy or girl singing personally at you, down at you, in your chair. The drums, the kick, everything is just separate. The drums to the guitar riffs, to the horns, to saxophone, everything I've put through these speakers has been beautifully detailed, rich, pure, clean. The transparency, like I said before, everything's gone. Every noise, anything in the background. It's just the realism from the music. And I sort of love these speakers. But they do a bigger one. These are the 77s. Like I said before, they do a range of these. These are the 77s. What are the 107s going to be like? What are the 140s going to be like? How big is your room? Can you fit them in? If you can't, get the 77s. They've been amazing. Let me sit back down. I'm going to sit back down with you. Okay, so I'm back here on the chair, the sofa. I'm pretty sure you get the sort of general consensus that I'm a big fan of these speakers, this Diptyque range. Now, I know for a fact we have the 107s coming into Audio Lounge Leicester, and as soon as they land, as soon as they are here, I will get them on this channel. I want to see the difference, because obviously they're going to be bigger than these ones. I'm hoping bigger, better things. If they're doing the exact same things these are doing, but on a bigger scale, holy poo. What is something to look forward to. Now, this was never going to be a full review video. This was literally just a quick look. My first look at the Diptyque 77s. So that's what it's going to go down as, a first look video. So the information's there, 50 hertz to 19,000 kilohertz, so the higher end there. Again, they do get down low enough for me within the bass, but the bass is beautiful. It's so calm and breezy and just it's not restrictive. It's not got a horrible texture to it. It isn't punchy. Like it's just a nice rolled off bass that's super clean, super smooth and super controlled. And the mid-range and the high is just to die for, like I just described up there on my little stage. So thank you so much for watching. Again, I cannot wait for bigger ones and better ones of these to come out. When I've got more time, I will be putting a lot more music through these. In fact, when I turn this camera off, I will be putting the Diptyques back on and I will be running them for longer. I mean, like I said before at the start of the video, 30 centimeter ribbon tweeter. It just produces so much music and so much detail. I cannot get across how these please go and listen to a pair of Diptyques. Now, I know there's not many sort of retailers that have these, I don't think, at the moment within the UK, but find somewhere. Just have a sit down listen. If you are interested in a new set of speakers for around £3,500 up to £4,000, I know the 107s are going to be about 5,500 maybe. I think for those, the 107 Diptyques. If you've got room in your room, if you're interested in any sort of speaker technology, this is the one to look at if you've got the room in your home. I know I keep saying it, but have a listen. Oh my God, you will not be disappointed. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face what these sound like, but until you sit down and listen to these yourself, you really, really don't know what they sound like. I mean, it's just... I'll leave it there. I've said my piece. This was my first look at the Diptyque 77s, and I am absolutely in love. So thank you so much for watching this video, especially to the end. And fingers crossed, I'll see you in the next one.